Hello guys, so I got this Carlos head from Resident Evil 3 by my friend Daisho Creations. I think it's sculpted by Sun Westkong, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I love this head sculpt, just look at the little smirk he's got, it's so Carlos. And I figured we would have a little painting video. So we're starting with my pretty much bread and butter, Cadium Flesh Tone. And because Carlos has a bit of a darker skin tone than, say, like Chris, I think this might be like a straight up good skin tone for him. Actually, we might want to go a little bit darker maybe. But anyway, first off we need a base coat. And we're kind of doing like a little bit of a dry brush. Normally I would probably dilute it a little bit with water, but usually it turns out pretty smooth if you just kind of dry brush it on like this. Now we definitely have to go a little bit darker than this. I think if we add a little bit of brown to it, that ought to do it. And then we also need to do some stubble. Actually, let's do a little bit of water dilution here. So, layer 1, and now we just wait for this to dry. So, I'm mixing a couple of colors here. The Cadium Flesh Tone, plus some light brown, and then some pale flesh, just to give it a little bit of an extra fleshy tone, and to not make the skin tone completely like one tone. He has a darker complexion, but he doesn't have like pale skin by any means. I think this looks pretty good, actually. I'll just kind of like heavy dry brush on top of it so we can keep some of that Cadium Flesh Tone. It's a little bit yellow. I think I'm going to add a little bit of brown in there. Or actually, no, I think this is actually fine. I think when I add the facial hair, it's going to create a lot more like contrast and it's just going to look better. So let's add some facial hair. So we're just going to kind of do some thin lines here, like so. So we're ever so slowly getting somewhere. I have some brown here on my brush and we're just going to give it a nice little dry brush here. And we're going to add a little bit of that brown to the beard here too. Just kind of like, I put quite a lot of like water in it, so it's kind of like just glorified little mini wash. So I've done a little cleanup work, but we're going to start with the eyes now, and a little bit of black in here on the inside to do the eyelashes. It's always the hardest part, and you can be a little bit clumsy with it because we're still going to add some extra white in there for the white of the eyes. Actually, we might as well just paint the entire eye black and then fill in the brown. Well, the white, I mean. It's so hard to see. Got a little bit of outside of the eye, but we can clean that up later. So now we have a little bit of white, and we're just gonna try to punch in the eyes like so. So for the eyes, try to punch them in. Little black dots. You don't want them too small. That's pretty good size. And then this one's going to be a little bit difficult because it's kind of, a lot of it is hidden by the hair. So after ages, I finally got the eyes kind of right. So now we're going to add a little bit of brown here. I really hate doing this in front of the camera because it's really hard to get everything right. And then we're going to finish off with a little bit, like just like a tiny little dot of black, but I'm going to do that off camera because it's so like sensitive in trying to get that thing in the middle. So for the lips, we're going to do a little bit of red, a little bit of brown, and a little bit more of that cadmium flesh tone. I think it's really important to keep the flesh tone as part of the color you're doing for the lips. And we're going to add a little bit of Reichland flesh shade to this as well. The lips are darker than the rest of the skin tone, so it does actually look like lips now. But there is a little bit of shadow in the middle that I want to pick out. And we're going to lightly shade these wrinkles here. And if it becomes too heavy, we can just go in with some of that skin tone again. We can go ahead and paint this radio thing here black as well while we're at it. I don't really want it to blend in too much with the beard, but there's not too much I can do about that. So I'm not really 100% happy with the eyes, so this is what I do when I kind of just have nothing to lose. I add just a little bit of white. As a reflection. And I can already see I did way too big of a white blot, so I'm gonna have to go in with a little bit of black. So it added a little bit of life, not this side though. So we've gotten to this point, and I am kinda happy with it. I'm not like in love with it, but what I'm gonna do is I think everything looks a little bit too plain, so I'm gonna add a little bit of shading here around the eye area, just using some Reichland flesh shade. There's something, I feel like I've messed up somewhere. So here is Carlos completed on a body that is a little bit too big for his head. I'm not really sure like what body was intended to go for this head, but this is essentially a Valaverse body, and it seems to be a little bit too big for this head because he looks a little bit pinheaded. But yeah, giving you just like a rough look at what it would look like with full-on gear and everything. So the head, it's not like my proudest work. I think it was just like a bit off when I painted the entire thing. I think it's like serviceable, but I'm not super happy with it. But I hope at least that you enjoy the video and that you could learn something from it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
It's alright, you're going ahead. I'm not gonna die on you, leave you in a cold, cruel, Carlosless world.